What up, YouTube? It's your boy Banks, and we back in the building, you feel me? It's True Talks, cause True Talks, alright? Let's get straight right into it. Before we do, I just want to take some time, a brief moment, to basically, you already notice what Elite looks like. Look at the shirt that I'm wearing, you know what I'm saying? If you are interested in this type of shirt, or you're interested in, a logo or any type of design or creating t-shirts as well, you already know, click the link in the bio, you know what I'm saying, or in my description, and it'll take you to their Instagram page, you know what I'm saying? They're called New Flow if you want a new flow, you feel me? This is what Elite looks like. All right, let's get straight right into it. So you already know, free agency was last week. Well, it's still going on, but all the reckless moves was last week, you know what I'm saying? And bruh, a lot of moves happened. I think, was it a record amount of moves? I don't know, but a lot of moves happened, a lot of upgrades, a lot of things, from especially from the Lakers, not too much from the Clippers, but I'm gonna get into basically what is what Elite looks like. Who is that? Who is the main ones that, media is also saying this, that, and the third, and this and that. I'm here to give you the true IQ, because that's what I do, about whose moves was actually the most impactful in terms of these two teams. Obviously, we know that the Nets are coming back. The Hawks made big time moves. You already know, like the elite moves. The Bucks made some moves. Pelicans made some moves. You know what I'm saying? A lot of teams have made some moves. Miami Heat has made some moves. The Warriors made a 1-2 moves. The Suns made some moves. Like, there's a lot of moves that have been made. You know what I'm saying? In turn, the Celtics made a move, where like a lot of crucial moves have been made. Remember, it's not about how much moves you make. It's about, can you envision what this team is going to look like based off a certain move? How does that move impact in terms of play style, in terms of enabling certain things? That's how you have to break down whose move is going to matter the most. It's not about who made the most moves. You know what I'm saying? It's not about that. But I'm going to go into the breakdown and give it an IQ, because that's what I do. So let's go straight right into it. Again, Hornets made moves. A lot of teams made moves. But anyway, let's go right into it. So, obviously, I'll talk about other teams' moves in different videos. But this video, I just want to talk about, obviously, the main two, teams that we're looking at in terms of the West, which is the Clippers and the Lakers. The Warriors would be a top-tier team, but unfortunately, we have bad news with, Klay Thompson, tore his Achilles, his right Achilles, which is a good sign. As much as it's a bad sign, it's a good sign because he didn't tear his left Achilles, which is his dominant leg. Even though Klay doesn't rely on shooting, still movement, off-ball movement, all this, that, and the third, backdoor cutting, like he does a lot of movement. So still, he would have to be somewhat of explosive. Not too much. It wouldn't affect him too much, even if he tore his dominant leg, which is his left leg, because he's right-handed. But regardless, it's always a plus when you tear your Achilles and it's the non-dominant leg. That is a positive sign, as opposed to what it could be if it was the dominant leg. So again, prayers out to Klay Thompson. I hope that he comes. I know he will come back great, and he'll come back like he did in Miss a Beat. I'm telling you, like, he's still in his prime. He doesn't rely on his shooting, and it's his non-dominant leg. I'm literally not worried about him. It's just more so his mental game. Two big time injuries without even touching and doing an NBA minute. Sometimes it can affect you. But during that process, the rehab process, when he gets back and he's feeling bouncy and he's back, he's gonna, all those kinks and that rust, they'll be gone. You know what I'm saying? So again, he's gonna, improve and remodel his body, and in terms of, maybe his hamstrings, his calves, he's gonna remodel everything. So it's all good. It's all good. Prayers out to them, and obviously the Warriors are shot, but I still think they'll be in the playoffs. Now, anyways, let's go into the main team. So we have the Lakers and the Clippers. Some teams, I'll talk about the additions they made, the additions by subtraction, the subtraction by addition. There's so many things going on here that you won't get an elite breakdown unless you come to this, unless you come here. You know what I'm saying? It's True Talks, because True Talks. All right. So anyway, I know a lot of Clippers fans are, oh my God, what are they doing? And a lot of Lakers fans are, oh my God, we're repeating. Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it. Now I'm going to address what's actually probably going to transpire based off of who's coming along, the kind of play style they bring forth, the kind of, Just basically bringing up IQ and doing a breakdown in terms of what I expect to happen based off each person's context, personnel, based off of the basically KYP. You know what I'm saying? That's what we doing. So you got to know your personnel at the end of the day. So let's go right into it. So basically, the Lakers, they made a lot of moves. Let's check the additions they made. They did a big one that shocked a lot of people, which was Montrezl Harrell. They did Wes Matthews, which is a great pickup. They traded Danny Green, so they replaced Wes Matthews, but they traded Danny Green for Dennis Schroeder. That's another one. They also added Marc Gasol, and they also re-signed KCP. You know what I'm saying? But they lost Rondo, they lost Dwight Howard, and they lost JaVale McGee. All right? And then on the Clippers side, they added Luke Kennard, which is a great addition. They basically to replace the Shamet role, which was, he's a better shooter. Maybe not. They're both limited defenders. You know what I'm saying? Because Shamet tries, but, he's just limited because of height, etc. But Luke Kennard is a way better, shooter and scorer in terms of spotting up, getting a bucket, one dribble pull up, all that type of stuff. You know what I mean? So that's obviously an upgrade in that, but we'll go into the details of that. And then they also added Serge Ibaka. You know what I'm saying? So the Clippers only made 2 types of moves. Also, Ty Lue, the coach, but they made 2 types of move and re-signed Marcus Morris. And so basically like three under the radar moves that people expected them to blow it up and do a lot of things. So we'll go into the context of these 2 teams and who really clearly got better. This is where the IQ comes in. Okay. So let's start from the Lakers side of things. All right. So obviously there's a lot of, hoopla with they're showing both lineups. Oh my goodness, LeBron, AD, and you still have Kuz, you got Harrell, you got Schroeder, you got Matthews. You know what I mean? You got all these types of guys. They got they basically got a lot of KCP. You got Gasol. They showing a lot of the depth charts and all of these type of stuff in these pictures and whatever. But I'm gonna give you IQ because that's what I do. To me, in the grand scheme of things, the Lakers got better in terms of offensively. They got better offensively. But for me, you gotta understand context, right? If this was a team like, let's say, the Warriors, or this was a team like even the Raptors, or this was a team like, the Celtics or something like that, and they have a lot of offensive power, I would say, they're tremendously better. For me, the offensive power doesn't really, the level that people are saying that it got boosted to and the level that it actually really will be is 2 different things. Because you gotta understand the context is LeBron holds the ball and he's point guard. It's like you add a lot of offensive power with James Harden. Did you really get better? Because regardless, when a push comes to shove, the ball's in James Harden's hand. And it's a one-dimensional offense. We've seen this even with AD. AD scoring OD, doing everything he's doing. When push comes to shove versus Miami, who has the ball in his hands? It's LeBron, and AD is where in the corner. And that's what I was trying to enlighten people to tell people about that. That's why they even lost 2 games that they shouldn't even have lost even in the finals. Because again, the Lakers, because of LeBron's holding the ball and the way he plays, you have to fit around him. He needs the paint. I need shooters. So as much as you bring up even Rondo, you bring up all these guys who could do multiple things, but they get limited when it matters because they're pushed to spot up. And LeBron either runs pick and roll or attack. This is exactly the same limitations that sometimes happen with Giannis, right? With people around Giannis. This is an offensive system that is a LeBron system. So everybody's envision, when you see that person, you see, oh my God, we have Schroeder, and you go look at Schroeder highlights. That's a different system. That's Schroeder running pick and roll. That's Schroeder ball handling. That's Schroeder playing him and Chris Paul. Chris Paul will go off ball. He doesn't hinder those guys. It's not like, you have to spot up Chris Paul's hair. No, Shea, Schroeder, they're doing what they do. Chris Paul can spot up. LeBron don't really spot up. If you got to look, I'm not saying he doesn't do it at all, but look at the possessions and look at if they were to run 100 possessions, how many possessions is LeBron really off the ball when he's in the game? Now, again, Schroeder is a different context when he's on the bench. That's given. You know what I'm saying? That's given. That's where it's a boost. That's why, like I said, a little boost in terms of like the Schroeder pickup and stuff like that offensively, especially with LeBron on the bench, then you guys could play more normally. That's where that's the biggest boost I see them having is when LeBron's not on the court. Now you have guys, again, like you have a Montrez, you have a Schroeder. They can do the Lou Will Montrez pick and roll thing, right? And Dennis can score. That you have Kuz as well, spotting up, cut once, and you know what? You have different dynamics in terms of scoring off your bench. That's where the boost is. But the boost that they're making it seem to me, again, it's not hella as a boost as they're making it seem. It's more so, like a 10 extra points in terms of that. But if you just focus on the offense, you're going to lose basically what got you there in the first place. And this is where people aren't paying attention to. And that's where I'm here to enlighten. So yes, the offensive boost, you add 5 points, you add 10 points, you stuff like that in stretches where LeBron is resting. That's a boost. But how many points do you give up? People aren't talking about the defensive side of things. People aren't talking about that. You know what I'm saying? So let me reel it around full circle. So basically the moves that the Lakers have made helps them offensively. It's a boost offensively. Again, that's still going to be limited when LeBron's on the court with these guys. If you have your end lineup, it's still going to look literally the same and how it looked like last year in terms of LeBron having the ball, LeBron and 80 and then everybody else. And then you spot up, etc. You're not doing too much. You're still limited. The boost that is going to matter, especially with Schroeder and Montrez, you know what I'm saying? It's going to matter a lot in terms of bench production. When LeBron's not on the court, you have a better version of Rondo offensively. You have a better version of Dwight offensively and Trez. Everything offensively, they'll have times where let's say they don't score as much and a team can come back and LeBron has to come back in quicker to run his offense. That you might get more rest. But how much rest can you really get? Or how much boost is it really if you're now deducting on the defensive end? So that's where the side of things that people aren't talking about. So all these moves that they've made, Wes Matthews is interchangeable with Danny Green, a better version. We already know that. He is more stockier, more physical. He's younger, can move more athletically at this point, right? And can body up in terms of perimeter defense. He's not Avery Bradley, because Avery Bradley is the best perimeter defender out of all of them, but they didn't use Avery Bradley to win in the bubble. But again, people are forgetting. This is not the bubble. You're expected to play other teams. This is not the bubble situation. You know what I'm saying? Like, this would have been a whole complete different story if they faced the Clippers. Like, this is like, for the Lakers to make these kind of moves, they know that, I won't say got lucky because that's just being disrespectful, but they got away with some shit. Let's say it like that. They got away with some shit that they will never get away with. Because the fact that you let Miami win 2 games with their 2 best players injured, not 2 best players, but the 2 leading scorers of the playoffs injured, to a 5th seed. Let's just put it in perspective, a 5th seed. And it went 6 games. 6 games. Like, just take it in. It went 6. Anytime you have a series go 6 or 7 games, it's a tough series. It went 6 games. Matchup-wise, Denver's even supposed to be more difficult. It went 6 games. With 2 men injured. Understand that. Dragic and Bam injured. It went 6 games. So they already know they have a lot of weaknesses in terms of their problems. Because their problems was, 1, their half-court offense, fugazi. If they're a team that gets stops, transition. And their bigs even run. Transition. A lot of it was transition. LeBron, when he went on that transition. Whether it's straight fast break or transition, now there's miscommunication of who guarding who, and then now LeBron can come up. It's just quick offense. Off of stops. But when they weren't getting stops, that's when they struggled. Even if they were scoring. That's when they struggled. Because you're now in half court often. So you're more limited. So that's what I'm saying. In terms of Wes Matthews, he replaces Danny Green, same thing, but he's only spotting up. Yes, he might make a 1-2 more spot ups, but how many spot ups is he even going to get? Danny Green, the most shots Danny Green would get is like in a good game or a great game for Danny would be 8 shots. Doesn't mean he makes them all, but that's the amount of takes he's taking. Like, he's not taking 15 shots. Even 10 is once in a blue moon. He's taking a good solid 6 shots. And that's even average. That will probably be 5. He's not taking that many shots. Okay? So how much production can Wes Matthews give you offensively? It's not that much anyways. It's going to be a spot up roll. You're not running plays for him. It's just spot up in case someone helps off the pick and roll, weak side, pass to him, whatever the case is. Now, his defense, yes, but Danny played good defense too. So it's the same thing, obviously a better version, but yeah, it's the same thing as last year. Okay? We got that. You add KCP, you re-sign him, same thing, spot up. He's the same guy. He's still there. Okay? Now, this is where the issues happen, where people aren't looking at it from a different perspective. They're only looking at it from offense. They're not looking at it from defense. The Lakers' blueprint last year was basically locking up and scoring in transition. They didn't score OD in half court like that. Unless their juices are flowing from transition and playing good defense, now we know we have a bop in our step and half court is moving. That's how they move. Pay attention. It's about the content and the personnel. LeBron teams are not half court studded offensive teams. Unless they have like a Kyrie or a Wade or another type of scorer with them. And even then they still struggle sometimes in half court unless that guy just goes mano-a-mano. LeBron is a transition, up-tempo, pass, drive, attack when they're not paying attention type of team. That's him. That's LeBron. That's all his teams have been like that. But it's about defense. Their teams are always better than average defensively. Doesn't mean I'm saying their team now all of a sudden is weak. But in terms of winning a ring, they've dropped off defensively. And that's what people aren't talking about these moves. Dwight Howard was literally a defensive presence. And you don't understand, it's about mobility. Dwight Howard could switch sometimes off pick and rolls, and he'll contain the guard for a minute, go back. Yes, he gets in foul trouble, obviously. But he is brolic in the paint. He gave Jokic troubles, give Jokic early foul trouble. Not only that, he makes that big have to work because off rebounds, like I said, transition, you have 80 full. Like LeBron's running down the lane and to his left is 80, to his right is Dwight. Your bigs are outrunning the other bigs. That was a lot of their off. Go back and watch the clips and you'll see when they get a stop, even versus Miami, when they get a stop, you have 2 trees running down with LeBron in the middle. You know what I'm saying? And then it either leads to a foul. That's how, oh my God, 80 is always going to the line. Or now 80 misses Dwight rebound layup or whatever. Or a shuffle pass like Rondo, especially when Rondo was pushing to Dwight layup. Like your bigs mobility is there. Even McGee. You have rim protection. Interchangeable with McGee and Dwight. And if, let's say, it's a small ball lineup or like a team that shoots OD like Jokic at the big, what we do, we put 80 at the 5. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of the times, to get that record, 80 wasn't playing the 5 all the time. It was just down the stretch. Only in certain series, like this year in the playoffs, he was playing the 5. But even to get that record to be the number 1 seed, Dwight and JaVale played a lot, were crucial. That's why everyone said they were hella crucial. I'm not talking about offensively. Offensively, even somewhat, whatever. But defensively, like this is where now defense matters in the grand scheme of just talking about the team going to a certain heights. You have to have certain role players that do certain things. Now, when you remove that role player for what he does, the role player you get should be able to do exactly what he does in terms of defensively. And then he's better offensively. Then it's like, oh my God, it's crazy. But like Dwight Howard's defense, crucial. Rondo's defense, hella crucial. McGee and Dwight, the defense was hella crucial. So when you look at it from that perspective, you replace Dwight with Trez off the bench. We see what happened to Trez with Jokic abusing him. Jokic did not abuse Dwight. If anything, when now they put 80 on him, he was breaking 80's chest at times. But Dwight, Jokic did nothing on Dwight. Like, come on now. Like, y'all got to pay attention. Like, Dwight was hella crucial. Now you're like, Trez is, so again, Trez is going to play the Dwight role. So he's going to come off the bench and do his 6 man of the year type shit. He's going to do that type of stuff, right? Now, how he does it in terms of how much they go to it and whatever the case is different discussion. We haven't seen it. But if I'm going to assume Trez is going into the same role he was with the Clippers, Trez could have got a bag somewhere else, but Clutch Sports, he's Clutch Sports. They told him, obviously, yo, come here and we can help each other. We win, you win. So what that means is, yes, you could get a bag somewhere else, but the bag you get is a bag where, one, you might not win ever. You might not win ever. And you're going to be stuck with that bag. And then after that bag, you're done. You're not getting the next bag. As opposed to get decent money now. It's not great, but get decent money now. Do your same 6 man of the year role type of shit with a winning team and win a ring. Now your bag that you get will even be bigger than that other bag. And you end up having more money than, you know what I'm saying? That's the trajectory that I promise you they're probably telling him. And for us, we need you because we need a 6 man. So it's like, it goes hand in hand. And Clutch Sports obviously, persuade him with something similar in that type of IQ where Trez is like, yo, say word. They're not even coming after me, Clippers. All right. And the Clippers didn't go after him because they know what happened with Jokic. Like I told you, even without a point guard wasn't the main necessity. That's what I was trying to tell everybody. Point guard wasn't the main necessity, which is why they haven't gotten one right away. Yes, Rondo would be a great addition in terms of just having a point guard that's available. At least you could at least go after him. But if he doesn't come, like, it's not something that you have to address. That's what I was trying to tell people. You were up 3-0 without a point guard. The issue was Kawhi getting double due to personnel, which I'll talk about that later. But anyways, now when you look at it from that perspective, Trez is not defending like that mano-a-mano. Any type of decent big could break his chest because he's more pinch. He's 6'8", and that might be a boost. 6'7", 6'8", whatever. Let's say 6'8". He's smaller. He's shorter than LeBron playing the 5. Okay? He's 6'8". Jokic could break his chest. Cousins now in the Rockets could break his chest. You know what I'm saying? There's bigs that could break his chest. Nurkic could break his chest. You know what I mean? Like, bigs can break his chest. Even Zubas could break his chest. They could break his chest. Not only that, his it's not just paint defense, because he gets blocked off help side. But it's not just paint defense. That's an issue with Trez. It's pick and roll, switchability defense, just regular defense, perimeter defense, gap recover. No one went to switch. That was with the Nuggets. It was atrocious. It was atrocious. Like, you could be weak in your foot speed and how you gap and how you close out, but you're still there. Maybe like he might shoot it because he's like, you're still a presence. You're still, you're still in tune with what I'm doing. But the fact that it's always miscommunication, he doesn't even switch at all. Then the next time he switches, he wasn't supposed to. And then it's just miscommunication. It's not all Trez also too. It's a combination of Trez, Lou Will, etc. But a lot of the times, like, Trez he was always caught in that miscommunication game. So he played a role in it. So when you look at it from that perspective, the defense wise, it's a hella drop off from Dwight and Trez. Are you really gonna play Trez at the 4 and Davis at the 5? People come over there and line up. Like, you're really gonna play Trez at the 4 who can't shoot and play 80 at the 5? They can do that, but are you really gonna do that? I'd rather put Kuz. Are you really gonna do that? Like, him playing that's something they might, because again, 80's versatility helps that. Where now he could play, he could spot up and they could run pick and roll with LeBron and Trez. But again, like I told you, pick and roll, one of the reasons why the pick and roll works so much with LeBron and 80's, because 80 is the versatile guy in the pick and roll. He's not limited. LeBron is more limited, like I said. LeBron is going to go to the paint. He's not going to shoot in gaps. He's not going to pull up. He might, once in a blue moon, if you go hella under the screen, he might shoot it. But he's not, it's like you don't know what he's going to do off the screen. So it's like, oh my God, what's he going to know? He's normally just going to where he wants to go, use the pick, and then he's going to pass it. Or sometimes if you know how to go use it, you know how to gap, whatever the case is, then now it just cancels the pick and roll, and now he has to end up passing it to the corner or now just ISOing. So, like I said, LeBron is the more limited person in the pick and roll. AD is the versatile pick and roll. That's why their pick and roll works so good, because AD could pick, he could roll. I mean, he could pop, he could roll. He could switch, and then now he has a baby on him. Like, he could do so many things because he's unlimited in terms of ability. So now if you were to put him in the corner and do someone who's limited in the pick and roll, and it's in a Harrell, LeBron pick and roll, that's a weaker pick and roll. I'll just go under everything. I don't even have to switch. I'll just go under the whole thing. Force LeBron to just shoot. Or even if you trap the pick and roll, force Harrell to play make out the pick and roll when he gets it. Or have to shoot, or whatever the case is. You know what I mean? Like, there's ways, they're both limited. So that wouldn't make sense to me, having them both in at the end. But you could get away with it, I mean, because AD could shoot. But do you want AD in the corner? But he's been in the corner anyway. So that's a different discussion. Anyways, my point was, he is a hella drop off defensively. All right? You look at it from that perspective. Wes Matthews, like I said, explained him. Then now Dennis Schroeder. Dennis Schroeder is an upgrade offensively from Rondo, averaging 18, 6th man of the year runner-up. But then again, like I said, when he's playing end game with LeBron, he's going to be like Rondo, was spotted up. Rondo's not a spot-up guy, but he had to spot up, and he was able to make it when it mattered. Schroeder could probably make it when it matters too, and he could spot up. So it's the same, same type of thing in terms of what their role they're going to be playing at the end game. But defensively, Schroeder is not elite defensively. He's like at times he could be a Tyler Hero defensively, where what are you doing? At times it's like, oh, okay, he's solid D there. He got his steal there. He reached. He gambled. But I'm talking about on-ball one-on-one. Let's say guarding a Chris Paul in the Sun series. Guarding a Jamal Murray. Like, Rondo is able to do that. Schroeder, you decrease defensively. We already know that. Then now Gasol. Gasol is a guy who defensively, you're still there with body. Like, you could put him on Jokic. We already know how the Gasol is. Raptors fans, you already know. Gasol, mano with Jokic, he's not breaking his chest. But the issue with Gasol, especially at an older age now, when you put him in pick and roll, like, people don't understand. This is where you're going to see Jokic and guys, like, even Nurkic, guys who, well, Nurkic not to that extent. Porzingis, I didn't even bring up. These big men they could do multiple things. So now you put in Gasol there. Yes, he has good rim protection, but Jokic is not going to be stupid and play at your hand and just go to the rim. I'm going to pick and pop now. What are you going to do? Gasol's foot speed to guard the gap when the point guard has it, and then go switch out, go back to his big. You already seen. That's why he was unplayable in the Celtics series. Even at times, you have to use Ibaka or put Pascal at the 5 because Kemba was eating. Gasol comes up and hedges off the pick, blow by, scoop layup every time. If not, they switch. Step back. Kemba, do you remember bucket at the mid-range? And that's why Gasol was like, bro, what are we playing him here? And then he's missing his threes. So, again, Gasol could bring a three. He's going to help offensively in terms of play style. He could shoot. So, like, LeBron is going to have more of the paint because with McGee and Dwight, you can never have the whole paint for LeBron unless Dwight was on the bench and McGee was on the bench. And they put Markieff at the 5, or they put AD at the 5. And that helped LeBron so much, tremendously. But now you can actually still have a big man who can rim protect, and you can still have the paint because Gasol can shoot. So he'll spot up. Or you can pick and he'll pop. So that will help. But the issue is teams will be like, yo, we're just leaving Gasol open, which is what they did with the Raptors. Brick, 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 brick. Yes, they hit it. But it's still, like I said, it's better offensively. Rim protection, like, Gasol's a plus in terms of post defense. Rim protection, no. He has good post defense and he can stand there and use his girth, whatever. Like, that's some of rim protection, but not meeting you high at the rim on athletic bigs. Dwight, he's not a better rim protector than Dwight and McGee. They're better rim shot blocker protectors. Better body up positional discipline, IQ, girth type of defenders. Gasol's better. But you have to pick and choose. A lot of it was punches at the rim lead to transition. Like that, like McGee and Dwight were that. Like, that's what I'm trying to tell you. Like, Gasol, especially old, like, Lakers fan, not watch Lakers fans. You see how they try to, oh my God, Danny. Then, oh my God, they do a death threat for Danny. Now when Gasol comes, Gasol. Watch when, let's say, he's unathletic and this and whatever the case, misses bunnies or whatever. Oh my God, Gasol, that's what you really did for them. You already know LeBron fans. You already know how they're going to go after him now. I can foresee it. I already know it. But like I said, Gasol is crucial. But again, Gasol is not in a position where, oh my God, he has to play this minutes. Like if he's not doing, they just replace him, AD, and they'll do what they did. My issue is Hero. Hero's supposed to play that bulk of minutes. He's going to play those minutes. So like if Gasol is sussing and he's like non-athletic and he can't guard, they're going to use now for that game, it's going to be AD and Hero. Only good thing is they still have Markieff. So let's say Harold's sussing, then you can use AD, Markieff. But then again, can you really do that against the Jokic's and them? So that's just a battle issue that is going to happen, obviously. You know what I mean? But like I said, my overall thing with the Lakers with this whole, oh my God, they got better. Oh my God, they're repeat. You understand. The Lakers know, one, there's two things you have to look at it from this perspective. For them to make this amount of moves, one, obviously the roster gets freed up. People think that's part of it where Rondo wants more and this wants more, the White, whatever the case is and all that type of stuff. That's given. We know that. But a part of it also too is they know, like I said, they didn't get lucky, but they got away with some shit in that bubble that they know they're not going to get away with in a regular situation. Maybe not fans, but a regular, I could go home, that regular situation. No bubble. Regular situation where my guys are mentally strong now. Guys are mentally there. It's a normal situation. You know what I'm saying? Not obviously fully normal, but it's a normal. You're playing in your arena, playing with your rims, all that type of stuff. It's a normal situation. All these factors that have been removed. Obviously, we would want fans there. We don't know how they're going to progress within the next year. But regardless, there is a regular routine type of situation. Regularity is back. That still applies for the Lakers as well, too, which will help them. But they got away with not playing some of these teams. We already know that, especially the Clippers. The fact that they went y'all understand this. They went 6 games with the Heat. What do you think would have happened with the Clippers? Even with the Fugazi function. Because they were still, they lost in 7 games. So it's not like it's not going 7 games. They went 6 games with the Heat. With 2 men injured. You think that they're going to just kill the Clippers? People forget the Clippers still lost 7 games. 7 games. They still went up 3-1. So you think the Clippers versus the Lakers was going to be just the Lakers, oh my God, they're going? I think the Clippers would have won. I know. But that's a different discussion. But like I said, they got away with some things. So for them to make these drastic changes, a lot of, obviously, like I said, 50% of it is the roster forced you to do something because, a lot of free agents. But the way they approached it, the type of guys they went for, and they went for more offense than defense, they knew half court was an issue for us. They're trying to flip and be like, we don't just want to be defensively good and then we struggle to score. Because look, it cost us 2 games. But they're forgetting. That defense is literally why you're in this position. That defense is literally why you win. Like the Lakers defense was straps. It was straps. At times it was Fugazi, obviously. That's any team. But overall, if you get grand scheme, it was straps and it was what propelled them because defense, transition, bucket, or foul. Every time. And if you watch my live stream, I'm just yelling, yo, what are you doing, Butler? You're not going to shoot that? They do a bad possession. Gone. All off misses, off blocks, off stops. You know what I'm saying? Just gone. Bucket, up tempo now offense. Just gone. And then you can't set. Bucket, foul. That's how they lived. 80, foul. Like it was a Lebron. Half court offense wasn't the greatest. So that's, to me, overall, I see the Lakers as they got better, obviously offensively, but in certain areas, they got way worse in defense in certain areas. In those role players, like I said, Schroeder, way worse defensively than Rondo. Harrell, way worse defensively than Dwight and McGee. You know what I'm saying? So when I look at it from that perspective, your point guard, center, defense is crucial. Now you could still hide, you could finesse it, put AD at the 5. They say LeBron's lockup, so put LeBron on the ball. Wes Matthews on the ball. This, that, and the third. But I'm just looking at the grand scheme of things. That, I'm telling y'all, that defense was so crucial for them. They're not going to be hella drop off defensively, but they're going to get a little boost offensively. But they're also going to get a draw like Harrell playing in his minutes, the stops that Dwight would be getting. Harrell is not getting that when he's at the 5. So yes, you might be scoring, but that team's scoring too. So you might be in the exact same boat. You know how they say, oh, LeBron comes out the game. He's on the bench. You know what I'm saying? And their plus minus margin is fugazi. Once LeBron's on the bench, they lose leads, whatever the case is. If you are scoring, but they outscore you, it's the same situation that you tried to avoid by getting Schroeder and Harrell. Or if you score and they score and it's still right at 0, same situation. Or let's say sometimes, you score, you're off a little bit and they're scoring. You know what I mean? You can't focus on one side of the ball. So that's in terms of my Lakers. So that's why the Lakers, I just say for me, it's not hella better that they got as a team. They just got a bit better. Because it would be hella better if they were the same defensively and then you have this offensive boost is hella better. But because your offensive boost is this, but then your defense is like this, now you average it out, it's just a little bit better. That's all. It doesn't mean they're atrocious. Doesn't mean there's not ways to finesse it. But if you go by your normal lineups constantly, like you were before, especially because again, it's not a team where, like with LeBron, especially now coming back short term too, he's probably going to be getting less minutes or whatever the case is. So it's not like, you're going to rely on these guys to play those minutes even more. If you're not structured defensively, it's not just about the offense. That's why Golden State was so disgusting. They actually have elite defense and they could elite offense. But if you're, so I paint the picture that you could see. Now, when we look at the Clippers, and I'm going to try to do this as quick as possible because, I don't want to make it too long. But if you look at it from the Clippers side of things, like I said, they gained Luke Kennard. They lost Shamet. Luke Kennard, better offensively, better sniper, better shooter, better in every category, just except probably defensively. He's not the best, but he's not terrible. But he's not the best. So, it's kind of like it's kind of like Shamet anyway. Shamet's obviously more like he'll get more cutoffs in certain situations, but he's still just small. Sometimes he gets gets killed. Oh, am I supposed to switch? Like he be sussing sometimes, but it's not like a priority in terms of like, the offense is more so what you need. Like that. It's not like a Morris versus more Harkless situation where it's like, oh my God, that defense is so crucial. In those positions that he's playing defense, he'll play the weakest offensive player. So you know what I mean? It's but the offense is way better. So when you look at it from that perspective, that's a plus for the Clippers that people aren't going to talk about. Only if you watch the Clippers and you follow the Clippers like that, how it's an underrated but solid, great move. Now we look at it from Serge Ibaka, right? So again, this is addition by subtraction and by addition. So you look at it like this. They know they literally, like I said, like I was saying all the times before, Trez and Zubac's defense in terms of not Zubac's, because Zubac is not supposed to be able to guard a pick and pop big. He's supposed to be able to guard the brolic bigs, you know what I mean? And they just have regular bigs and you can just gap and guard the paint, go back like when Dwight's in and all those type of things. Like he's going to guard those type of big White side, whatever. Like he's going to guard those bigs and that's when he's playing and that's why he's there. Okay. He can rim protect. He's very solid. Like he's crucial that you won't replace him ever. And you keep him started. You don't replace him ever. He's that guy in terms of, what he's doing. People are like, oh, you should have played Zubac more in that Nuggets series. No, it was a popping big. Jokic didn't even eat in the paint when Zubac was there. Zubac is in the paint. Why am I going into the paint? Screen, pop, shoot. Zubac is not getting back to the shooter. And then if you fully switch, now Zubac is on Jamal Murray. That's a mismatch. Or Lou Will, let's say, or whoever is guarding Jamal Murray now is on Jokic. That's a mismatch. Right? So that's why they had to sub him out and then at least go small to try and play Harrell. They tried to do that. Harrell's getting bullied in the paint by Jokic. He's not guarding the pop by everything. The whole 3-level scoring is happening when Harrell's in the game. And that's why they tried to at least they did better when now they took out Harrell and they put in JaMychal. Because JaMychal could gap, go back like or they just switch everything. And it's no mismatch because if you switch everything with Harrell, he still can't guard perimeter guys like that. So you switch everything with Jermichael. He could guard perimeter, he can guard paint. You know what I mean? That's where at least they did better. So when you look at it from that perspective, Hero, when it mattered, versus pick and pop bigs, which you're normally gonna see in the earlier rounds. You have Nurkic, you know, you have even Ayton can pick and pop midi and stuff like that. Ayton, Porzingis, right? Now you add Christian Wood, Cousins, like all these bigs on all these crucial close teams can do that. AD, like every team has a pick and pop versatile big. So it's not just addressing a need for, just the Nuggets in case we might not face them anymore. So just sign Hero. That made them realize what an issue actually is in a series. Remember, regular season, they might not go to the pick and pop always because it's regular season. But when it's this playoffs, they see that's the weakness. Abuse it. Abuse it. They're not going to let you off the hook. So in a series, issues that you have, specific issues that you have defensively are going to matter. And because they're going to highlight them. They're going to repeat every play until they stop this. And then when they try to stop this, now that guy now from the corner's open. Everything predicated off this. Just keep doing until they stop. No need. You play smart in the playoffs. You abuse weaknesses, abuse mismatches in the playoffs. That's what it comes down to. So when you look at it from that perspective, that Hero was probably the first issue before even playmaking and anything else, because they were up 3-1, like I said, without no point guard. A point guard would help. It will be a bonus, but it's not a necessity. That same offense that they've been running with Kawhi sometimes PG, and they're the ones ball handling, that's still going to happen regardless if a point guard comes there. Like, you're acting like a point guard is going to come and just, oh my God, kill and kick to Kawhi as a spot-up guy. Kick to Paul George as a spot-up. Like, that's cap. They're still going to, Kawhi eats when he ball handles and he runs pick and roll, and now he chooses in the mid-range, shoot off the pick and roll. You step back off the three. Like, that's the way he eats. That's why I was trying to tell people, even when Lowry was there, Kawhi played on ball when it mattered. It's just sometimes when he's not on ball, you could now put him off ball. Lowry come up, run pick and roll with Ibaka. You know what I mean? Like, you have an option, but it's not a necessity. That's what I was trying to tell people. It's just media always wants to, like, I don't know, it's just the IQ, man. It's just limited. It is what it is. But anyways, like I said, it's not a necessity. You could win without a PG. Like I've been said. It's not a necessity. And I'm not talking about Paul George. I'm talking about a point guard. Now, again, Paul George even struggling. Even Paul George doing the same struggle. They were up 3-1. He only got highlighted because they lost. Him struggling, it's not that they would still go to the conference finals. It was the defensive issues. And now trapping Kawhi because he's eating. You don't need a point guard to change. You have to change the personnel. And that's where Serge Ibaka is going to unlock this team. Because now if you're not playing Zubac, you play Serge Ibaka. Let's talk about offensively first. If you now, like a lot of the times, Hero's man or whoever off the pick and roll would trap Kawhi, double Kawhi whenever he got it, and force Hero to either shoot or catch it and now play make. But because Hero is just a role threat, he can shoot on workouts and everything, and you see him on the workouts, he's shooting. But until I see him do it in games, he's known as a guy who can't shoot. Okay? So Hero doesn't shoot, so he's literally just a roller. That's what he is. He's a pick and roll. He's not a pick and popper. He's not a pick and, he's just a pick roller. He's just a roller. Slip or roll. That's it. So when you're trapping off the pick and roll now with Kawhi, you're forced to pass to either Hero or the off weak side guy in the corner, whatever the case is. And then that's when turnovers now is happening, where now the guy gets it and then they rotate it. And now that person's the creating is just Fugazi offense, and mans aren't hitting shots. So now they're not hitting shots is what is going on here. But now if you're picking and rolling, you have a Serge Ibaka who now can pick and pop. It's a complete different dynamic. So many options now. Now if you try to trap a Kawhi or a PG off a pick and roll with Ibaka or a pick and pop with Ibaka, it's less likely for you to be successful at that because Ibaka can pop. He could shoot. He shot 39%. Like he averaged 15 points, 8 rebounds. Off the bench, shooting 50% from the field or whatever, and 39% from three. Like 39% from three, bro. You almost shot 40% from three. Like, come on now. 40% from three is elite. From three. That's equivalent to 50 from three. 40. That's why they say 50, 40, 90. Like those 50 is the elite version from field. 40 is elite version from three. 90 is elite version from free throw. Like premium. He shot, bruh. Man shot 50-40 basically from the field in three. So Ibaka, like, he's not a scrub. Now, when we look at it defensively, that's going to unlock a lot of things. Sorry, offensively, that's going to unlock a lot of things because, like I said, you try and trap him. Like, it's harder for you to trap him. Now, Ibaka's there and he could shoot. With his shot, he could shoot it. Or he could roll in and he could do the hook. He doesn't have to just go to the paint and just, like he could do a hook. He could catch it in the post and do a turnaround. He could actually score in situations that is bailout situations. So he does more, even though his points average is not as much because, again, he played in a different system. Like him and Lou will pick and roll and all that type of stuff. He was getting a lot of stuff, but like when you're now popping a lot of the times, you might not get the ball all the times as a popper. You just stretch that other big man out the way. So now other men are eating more. So you might not get the ball often, but you're unlocking the offense more. So that's why Ibaka didn't average the 18 points as much. If Ibaka was only a roller, he probably would average more because he's alleys, you know what I mean? But him stretching out the floor and popping. Now, once that guy, the pick and roll comes, Ibaka pops. That guy, Kawhi, let's say, hesitates. That big has to go back. Now you have the guy on an angle. Now you blow by and go to the rim. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's more things you could do. Kawhi doesn't have to only shoot mid-range and shoot threes. Now you can see Kawhi go to the rim more. Like you saw him do when he had Ibaka in Toronto. So, even PG, like, it helps a lot of these. Even Lou Will. You know what I'm saying? It's going to help a lot of them. And it's just another option. Now you have, that's what I always try to tell people. It's about having two different dynamics. I never liked having the same dynamic because it's the same thing. And that's my only issue for with the Nets, them having Jared Allen and DeAndre. It's the same thing. It can be a benefit if that's the way you want to play and it's the same thing, then it's good. And that's what the Lakers were good at. They had the same thing. Dwight and McGee, same thing. Interchange. If you don't want that thing at all, at least you have an option to go to that by putting someone who can still actually play big, like AD, and put him at the 5. Now you have a different dynamic. And that's where, like the Nets, you can do the same thing, but you want a shooter at the 5, you want more space and more, versatility. KD, go to the 5. So at least you have someone who could do that dynamic. In terms of the Clippers, the someone to do that dynamic made them way too small. It was JaMychal. That's why I said if they got Mo Harkless, then them doing that dynamic, he's 6'9" with length, basically 6'10". It's not as bad, but JaMychal he's not as athletic and he's smaller. So it's harder for him to do rim protect and do the whole 80 type of shit. He can't, you know what I mean? That's why now you have a 6'10" guy, 6'9", 6'10". I don't know why they say Ibaka 7 foot. I think it's cap. But whatever, they have a 6'10", 6'11" guy in Ibaka. Duke, who can now actually, you have Zubas, you do that one, that only roll, rim protect, but now we need a different dynamic. We need a floor spacer who can pick and pop, could shoot, and protect the rim. Now we use Ibaka. Now you're only going to see Ibaka Zubas, which is similar, to what other teams be doing. Now they don't need to do a hella small ball with Trez at the 5 and this and that, or Marcus Morris at the 5. They only did Marcus Morris at the 5 because Trez is sussing. So they don't need to do that now no more. Only way they'll do that, Ibaka's gonna end games. The only way they'll do that is, let's say if Ibaka's struggling or something like that, and let's say they want to just switch everything because the guy's killing. The guy on the pick and roll is killing. So they need to just switch everything. Don't give him even time to gap and recover because now he's hesitating. He's just killing. We need to switch everything to cancel everything. A lot of movement, switch everything. Then now you can maybe put Marcus Morris at the 5, who's 6'8", 6'9". You can still play the 5. He's still there. Marcus Morris, PG, Kawhi. Or Marcus Morris, Kawhi. Then PG at the 3. Then you still got Lou and you still got Pat Bev. You know what I'm saying? You still got that dynamic. Or you could put Luke Kennard and Pat Bev. Or you could put Luke Kennard and Lou Will. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. I still think that this Clippers team is a championship caliber team. I think they're actually better than last year due to, like I said, the weaknesses that they've had due to Trez and stuff like that. I think that You don't always need to. This is exactly what they did, is exactly what I'm talking about. Subtle, crucial moves. All you need to do is make subtle, crucial moves and you get better. You sometimes get better by subtraction, but you get better by addressing certain weaknesses. That's all, addressing certain weaknesses. Playmaking is the last weakness that I'm actually resorting to. Because like I said, I've seen teams with no point guard with Scottie and MJ. Obviously, Scottie facilitate, but it was the same type of PG, Kawhi type of thing. Obviously, it's different because Kawhi and PG were scoring like that. And Scottie was normally like an initiator and like an Iguodala type of player. But an Iguodala when he got to Golden State, not the Iguodala before, because Iguodala was shot creating before. But the Iguodala type of player in Golden State were just, he's initiated and he only shoot here and there. And it's mainly just, defense, lock up, and facilitating. Or more like a Draymond, I guess. Yeah, he still has playmaking abilities. But they didn't use playmaking always. Just go through the post through MJ and you go off of that. Your point guard isn't like a point guard. That's what I'm trying to bring. Your point guard isn't a point guard. Kawhi averages most assists he's averaged. Like, they were solid. PG can get assists as well too. You know what I'm saying? You have one of them in at all times. And when both of them are in, obviously Kawhi's dominantly we use through the offense, do your thing. But if not, sometimes PG get it. You do your offense like that. Now, let's say Kawhi, PG comes out first. Kawhi finished the quarter. Started the second quarter. It's now PG and Ibaka or whatever the case is. Or you can flip it around where Kawhi comes out earlier. PG ends the quarter. It doesn't matter. You interchange one of them in at all times, though. Either both in or one is in. And then you go like that. I do think, though, the Clippers might find a way to like trade Lou Will, and I think they might look at like a Derrick Rose. I'm thinking they might do a Lou Will for like a point guard. You know what I'm saying? And do Pat Bev like off the ball and all that type of stuff. Well, he already plays off the ball, but that's what I think they might do. But that would be a bonus, but it's not a necessity. Like this roster right here could win. The only issue you'll actually mainly have would be Lou Will's defense. But you don't want to have Lou Will and Trez defense on the court at the same time. Like, that was atrocity. Atrocious. Horrendous. You only want one. So you doing that, you can at least get away with it. And again, you don't have to play him. You can just play Kennard and Pat Bev. Pat Bev, Kennard, PG, Kawhi, Marcus Morris. Or you could go Pat Bev, Luke Kennard, PG, Kawhi, Ibaka. Or you could go Pat Bev, PG, Kawhi, Morris, Ibaka. Yeah, there's more ways you can, ways around it. Versatility. Like, Kennard is gonna be hella crucial for them. Like, those times Shamus was getting shots, brick. Like, he'll hit those shits. So again, they've done subtle, low tier, crucial moves. That's gonna unlock the team and help the team. Not only that, now I already know the issue with the locker room. Again, that's another issue. The locker room with Trez and PG. He's looking at like, oh, PG's not. I know it's not Trez and Kawhi. I already know. It's Trez and PG. Because he's looking at him like, yo, PG, you're not that, man. Give me the rock. You're not that. That is more so Lou and Trez, I already know, are not happy with PG. Even maybe Marcus Morris. Like, the issue was PG. But now, when you remove Trez out the way, it at least takes away some of the dissension. It takes away some of it. Now, Trez going into Lakers. Do you know if he's going to be that guy that's still trying to go for 6 man and, I need the rock. I need my production. He might be humbled because, again, he's going to a team that won a ring and it's Clutch Sports and it's LeBron in them. I don't expect him to move the same way, but when a push comes to shove and let's say they might not win a 1-2 game and you're frustrated, you never know what happens. So that's just another dynamic the Lakers have to worry about. And the same goes for even Schroeder. Guys who are offensively focused. That's always an issue when you have offensive-minded players. When you're not getting, that's what Kuz went through. Offensive-minded players. When you're not getting the rock like that and you're like, what you expect to happen and what actually happens, then you're like, God, you go through that lull. You go through that period where it's like you're butting heads. And it takes longer for you to buy into like, fuck, I have to just be this regular man. It's hard for men to buy into that. Schroeder has never been just a regular spot-up man. So, you know what I mean? Harrell has not just been a regular spot-up man. He's been pick and roll like I'm eating. So that's another dynamic with the Lakers. But like I said, overall, Lakers have gotten better a little bit. Not the way they make it seem because they decreased a lot defensively. But in terms of bigs and Schroeder. because Rondo was defended. You can still find a way to hide it, but on your regular rotations, you're going to go through lapses because of the defensive drop-off. But you got an offensive drop-off. So when you drop both, when you drop this and you boost this, it only becomes averages out to just being a little bit better. Not the way they're making it seem like it's a lot better. Just a little bit better. Just an IQ breakdown, that's all. It could end up not being right. It could end up being right. It don't matter. Just if I have to go off of if I have to use IQ in the context right now, it's a little bit better. And in end games, it's going to be the same shit because it's LeBron, AD, everybody else. And it actually might affect them in a negative way because before, guys were limited offensively. So them being in a spotted role and not saying nothing to LeBron and AD and just the hierarchy was established. You've seen with the Clippers, when the hierarchy is not established, it could be an issue. So if you have Schroeder who can get a bucket, Harrell who can get a bucket, and he's in the end game, it could be a struggle. That's what happened with Lua who can get a bucket. Marcus Morris can get a bucket. Harrell can go and get a bucket off his role and all that type of stuff. It's now like, yo, Kawhi, you better score this. Or it's like, yo, why didn't you go to me? Or whatever. Like, it can cause dissension. It's hard. The hierarchy is not established. That's what I always said from jump is going to be a benefit with the Lakers going into any playoff series is that they're limited in terms of certain guys are limited role player wise, but it helps because now you get max production out of AD, max production out of LeBron because they have to. No one's even jumping on their toes. And you always want that anyways. You want max production from your two best guys. If Danny Green has a shot and AD's one more swing, Danny Green's not shooting that. Marcus Morris might shoot that shit instead of passing one more to Paul George. Because I'm a scorer too. He's just a scorer of mine. If you know, you know. But when you're a role player and you're one dimensional, you know, if I'm open and AD's open, AD. Like, you know what it is. It's a hierarchy. So that was a positive for the Lakers. That might be somewhat taken away from a little bit with the additions they made in terms of the 2 6-man. Man, these are 6-man guys. Like, you get 6-man out of their best years to now spot up. Like I told you, only way it's going to look nice for them is when LeBron's not in the game. But if they have to play with LeBron being there, they better hope they blow out everybody. Because if they play close games with LeBron and them being there, that's where I see the dissension coming from. Just from play styles. You know what I mean? Schroeder now just spotting up. Like, he's never just been a spot up guy. Like, you know what I mean? He does more. He can create. He does more. He ball handles. He's a guard. He's a point guard. You know what I'm saying? He's not, you know what I mean? Rondo is limited. So, like, you put him in the corner, at least he'll sit there and stay there. But he should even have the ball sometimes and play making, you know what I mean? Use his best assets. But LeBron wants to, do what he does. So everybody has to sacrifice. That's what it always is with LeBron's offense. So that could come back to bite them. You never know. But for me, again, like I said, Lakers only got a little bit better. The Clippers also got a little bit better. For me, I actually think they got more better in terms of for them versus the Lakers. I would say the Clippers got more better. Just like losing Hero and adding Ibaka, that's such a benefit because Ibaka still struggles in gapping, you know what I mean, and stuff like that. But like any big struggle, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not. Sometimes but it's still, regardless, he will run protect more than Hero. You know what I mean? He can now create out. You can pass it to him in the post, and he can do a hook. You can do a turnaround fade. He can do whatever. Like, Hero has to get it in a certain situation or face up. He'll do his crossover, and everything's a layup. You know what I'm saying? Everything's a layup. So that's just more offense, more shooting. Like, there's so many benefits Ibaka bring to the table that unlocks this team and makes them look different. That's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at, it's not about, if you're using a move in the same role you've already been, you don't really get as much better as a term of another team that makes a move that is complete drastic play style than what they originally had. You automatically get way better. That's how I'm looking at it from. The Lakers did moves they just upgraded what they already had in terms of offense, but it's the same play style. Everything's the same. The Clippers now got a whole complete different dynamic unlocked, which is Ibaka at the 5. That unlocks a lot of things. So that's why I'm like, the Clippers got way better. They actually got more better than what the Lakers got because they now went from something, every time you have is only pick and roll big. That's all you have. Now you have a complete different dynamic. You unlocked your team now. Now there's whole different types of options. different types of schemes. If they run the same double team scheme, we could break it easier through this. They can't even do that shit no more because we have this guy. Like, there's so many things that you've unlocked and you now cut off the defense from even applying to you in terms of schemes. So I look at it from that perspective. Like I said, for me, subtle moves sometimes are more impactful than big name moves. Like, it just happens like that. Again, they're saying the Clippers might do a next move. We'll see how they do it. But just from looking from right now, I don't think they need to do anything more. If they do something, it might be a bonus, but it depends what you lose to get that. Like, you know what I mean? It depends. But if you just leave the team how it is now, this team, like, now you're moving. All now you have to do is have PG step up when it matters. And even if he doesn't, you have options now. And remember, him not stepping up, they still were up 3-1. Like, they lost because of defense, not because of offense. When you're now not defending, now your offense is highlighted more. But when they if they play defense and they're stopping those guys, they'll score in transition. They'll do the same shit that they normally do. You know what I'm saying? Like, they would have won. They were up. Even with the fugaziness, they were up in every game they lost. Like, that's why I'm like, I'm not overreacting. I'm just making subtle, crucial things because why did we actually lose? What changed? Jokic was popping and he was abusing. You know, stuff like that changed. I fixed that with Ibaka. You know what I'm saying? So it is what it is. Anyways, it's True Talks, because True Talks. Share, like, and subscribe. I hope you like this breakdown. I know it's a lot, but these are the two main teams, man. I know it's a long time and stuff like that, but these are the two main teams, man. I have to go in. You already know what time it is. You feel me? Anyways, thank you for coming for that IQ, because that's what I do. Bruh. We got a lot to talk about, man. There's a lot of things to talk about. A lot more moves with different teams. You already know, like, they're still making moves. We still have to talk about this Nets with this Harden thing. I hope they don't do, but I'll talk about that more later. You already know. Like I said, it's True Talks, because True Talks. Share, like, and subscribe. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend. You already know, man. There's no doubt here and there's no drought here. I sussed it. I'm out here. There's no doubt here and there's no drought here. You feel me? And I'm out, man.